Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka MAZUMA TV. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. Gonna be speaking about Shakur Stevenson officially cracking top 3 in the pound for pound rankings and exactly what our opinion is on the whole situation. And Ring Magazine has ranked him there, coming off of the biggest win of his career against Teofimo Lopez. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna get into the rumor going around that Jaron Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz is looking to be solidified in April in Las Vegas. Then we're going to get into the return of Errol Spence Jr., according to rumors as well, going up against Tim Tszyu this summer. You feel what I'm saying? But before we get into all of that, if y'all could please hit the like button on the win, that'd be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,300 mark, looking to hit that 3,400 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. Shout out to everybody that's in the comments. Shout out to Marissa. Shout out to Marissa. She said, "What's up, Mark? I believe Shakur should be number 3 on the pound for pound list." We definitely going to talk about that, Marissa. Definitely well deserved, for Shakur Stevenson. But we're going to actually have a conversation and see exactly where we will place him on MAZUMA TV's pound for pound list. You see what I'm saying? I don't think we're gonna actually get into like a whole deep dive on our pound for pound list over like in totality today, but we definitely gonna discuss where Shakur Stevenson should lie on the pound for pound rankings after coming out victorious against Teofimo for sure. J Cash, what up? Agent 86, what up? How we feeling? King of Brooklyn in the building. Shout out to my Brooklyn people, man. For sure, for sure. Get a lot of love from New York, man. Shout out to my New York people. Feel what I'm saying? What up, what up, what up? My boy J Cash said like, comment, share, and sub on the way in. Absolutely, man. If y'all new to the channel, you know what I mean? If I just popped up on y'all feed for whatever reason, you see what I'm saying? Go ahead. Subscribe to the channel, man. We come on here basically every day to discuss what's currently going on in the boxing world, man. We got that real unfiltered talk. So if that's something that you're a fan of or a proponent of whatsoever, y'all need to go ahead and sign up to the nation. You feel what I'm saying? Y'all need to get on the ship while, you know what I'm saying? While there's a little bit of passengers on the motherfuckers. Once it's full, ain't no going back. You feel me? Mr. Big Play Bray, what up? He said, sorry, what's the qualification for pound? I mean, well, that's actually a great question, Bray. You know what I'm saying? That's a great question. And I think it varies depending upon who you're talking to. Me personally, when I create my pound for pound list, and of course I use the nation's help, of course. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is actually based off of the knowledge in the chat. But the qualifications that I look into when making these pound for pound lists is, for one, the biggest thing to me is resume. Who of quality have you beat? You see what I'm saying? And I feel like I really feel like that's the most important thing, because how could we judge your skill set? You know what I'm saying? And how serious can we take your accolades if the guys that you've been facing in your career haven't really been top tier or been notable names? You feel what I'm saying? So somebody like what's that guy's name? He signed with the PBC. He has like a crazy record or whatever the case is. He's like 40 something to know. But that sounds like an impressive record, but when you really do a deep dive into his resume and see who he's fought, it's been absolutely nobody's. No disrespect. I actually forgot his name, man. So if anybody could correct me in the chat. He's in the lightweight division, of course. I believe he just signed with the PBC not too long ago. But we really look at, me personally, I look at resumes. I think that's the most important thing, because it's not about how many fights you had, it's who you fought. Abel Mendoza, shout out to Tricks. Yeah, like Abel Mendoza has a hell of a fucking record when you look at it. But then when you really break it down, that's a blown up record. That's a record that, I don't really respect for real. I could look at Andy Cruz's 6-1 record and have a lot more respect for who he fought in comparison to who Abel Mendoza's fought. And he has damn near like 6 times the amount of fights that Andy Cruz has. So that just lets you know what it is. Resume, we definitely look at skill set. You know what I mean? Where are your skills at? If we were to place you in any division and put you in like a heavyweight body, a cruiserweight body, a bantamweight body, will your skills be good enough for you to end up at the top of the division? Then, of course, we take into consideration accolades. You see what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I think I had resume, accolades, and then skill set. You see what I'm saying? because accolades are important as well when you're on a pound for pound list. Has your skill set been able to, help you, or has your resume or whatever you've done in your boxing career, um has it allowed you to become a multi-division champion? Were you able to unify the division? Were you able to get multiple title defenses? What were you able to do? Like, what on your accolades makes you pound for pound? What makes you top tier? You know what I'm saying? Then, of course, skill set. Skill set definitely plays a part because we got to take into consideration why, what attributes do you have within your toolbox? What is it that you have within your toolbox that makes you elite? You see what I'm saying? Is it like when you look at Shakur, he's a defensive specialist, great timing, great counter puncher. Then, we looking at guys like Alexander Usyk, who, is crafty in his own right, accurate puncher. You know what I mean? Very intelligent, great ring IQ. Um, you know, it, Everybody's great for their own reasons. Like when you look at Bam Rodriguez, who's on the pound for pound list, solid punching power, elusive defensively. Um, um, of course, he has the angles. That's what a lot of people pay attention to, and the offense that he's able to create off of the angles. Also, very, very tough individual. Bam Rodriguez is. He fought with a broken jaw. You see what I'm saying? So when you take all of these things into consideration, all of these guys are great in their own right. They bring different things to the table, but their unique qualities essentially make them elite, in my opinion. So, like I said, Bray, I know that was a long, drawn out answer, but I think it varies depending on who you're talking to. And, we also got to take into consideration that a lot of these media outlets that make these pound for pound lists, are biased. You know what I mean? Because they may choose, the Ring magazine, for example, may choose somebody who's a Ring ambassador in comparison to somebody who's not. You know what I'm saying? They may place somebody on a list higher that has a Ring magazine title in comparison to somebody who's actually undisputed. A lot of these media outlets are biased and they do push certain, agendas. And and a lot of the times it shows. You feel what I'm saying? Um, but we definitely gonna talk about Shakur Stevenson, man. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson. Not the big. I'm not gonna go out of my way to say I'm the biggest Shakur Stevenson fan because that would not be accurate. However, he came off of a great performance. He came off of an impressive victory against Teofimo Lopez. Completely neutralized Teofimo and all of his best attributes: his athleticism, his hand speed, his counter punching ability. All of that was neutralized. And you really got to give Shakur Stevenson a lot of credit for being able to do so because outside of the Cambosis loss, Teofimo Lopez has been having a relatively, I'm not going to say easy, but he's had uh, a lot of success in defeating top tier opposition or beating notable names like Vasil Lomachenko, Josh Taylor, Richard Comey, etc. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that Shakur Stevenson was able to make Teofimo Lopez look absolutely amateurish in the ring, that just speaks to how skilled and how great of a boxer, he is and what he might become later on in the future. You see what I mean? So let me actually share the screen for the people to see. You know what I'm saying? This is Ring Magazine's updated pound for pound list. And for those of y'all who, see the list right here, man, they still have Alexander Usyk number one, justifiably so, in my opinion. They have Nayu Inoue, who, longevity has been real, beating elite level competition at his weight division. You know what I'm saying? I think he deserves to be there as well. And then we got Shakur Stevenson cracking the number 3 spot. You know what I'm saying? After a great win over Teofimo Lopez. And not only that, but Shakur Stevenson also became a 4 division champion, still undefeated, and has yet to have a controversial fight in his career. You know what I'm saying? And does he have like a lot of signature top notable name? Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? But he does have notable wins on his resume, like a Joet Gonzalez. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about Oscar Valdez, Jamel Herring, Edwin De Los Santos. You know what I'm saying? And more recently, Teofimo Lopez. So you got to give him a lot of credit for being willing to fight these type of guys and beating them in impressive fashion. Then we have one of my favorite fighters in boxing right now, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, somebody who's a multi-division champion in his own right. Hopefully, he's able to become undisputed in the weight class that he's currently in. But if not, he can move up to 118 pounds and probably get some shit going up there, where I think he's very capable of becoming world champion again. Dimitri Bivol, things have been pretty quiet for you know, uh, Dimitri Bivol as of lately. You know what I mean? He was suffering from a back injury, I believe, that he had just had gotten a surgery done. But, he ended up becoming undisputed in his weight division at 175 pounds prior to vacating his WBC light heavyweight title and beat one of the number one guy in my opinion in the division. Artur Beterbiev, who had actually came off of a win against Bivol. I thought Bivol won the first fight, but it is what it is. Dimitri Bivol was able to get that rematch and actually beat Artur Beterbiev. Not only that, but give him the first loss of his professional career. So Dimitri Bivol is definitely very deserving, in my opinion, of being a top 5 pound for pound fighter. Then of course we got Artur Beterbiev, who we just spoke about previously. Prior to losing to Dimitri Bivol, he was a unified light heavyweight champion of the world. Beating guys like Alexander Volzdik, who was champion after beating Adonis Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? Beating up on guys like Anthony Yarde, who's a quality contender at light heavyweight. Joe Smith, who was a world champion in his own right. You see what I mean? Artur Beterbiev has a lot of solid wins on his resume, to be honest with you. And he deserves to be on this list considering, him outside of losing to Dimitri Bivol, dominating the light heavyweight division. Then, of course, we have Junto Nakatani, somebody who's supposed to be getting into the ring with Naoya Inoue sometime in May, June, whatever the case is. And, very, very skilled individual. Came off of a controversial kind of fight in his last outing, but he was able to, do what he needed to do in order to get the victory. And if he comes out victorious against the number 2 guy on this list, Naoya Inoue, then we might have to talk about Junto cracking that top 5, top 4 pound for pound list. You see what I'm saying? Then of course we got David Benavidez, 2 division world champion. Somebody who just came off of a great victory against Anthony Yarde, having multiple great wins on his resume, in my opinion. Whether we talking about Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andre, David Morrell, Alexander Volzdik, and more recently Anthony Yarde. He's definitely building his resume and getting some solid opponents. So shout out to David Benavidez, who's looking to move up to cruiserweight to fight Gilberto Ramirez Cinco de Mayo weekend this year. And Gilberto, who's a unified champion in his own right. So if David Benavidez disposes of Gilberto, now you're talking about somebody who is WBC champion at light heavyweight and somebody who's a unified champion at cruiserweight. So, you got to tip your head off to David Benavidez for taking them chances. Then, of course, Devin the Dream Haney, somebody who is a 3-division world champion at this point in time, former undisputed champion at light heavyweight, went up to 140, beat Regis Prograis in dominant fashion, had a controversial fight against, Ryan Garcia that ended up being ruled a no contest, bounced back with that Jose Ramirez win and, ended up proving a lot of the doubters wrong in his last fight against Brian Norman, outclassing him, neutralizing his abilities, hurting him, dropping him in the fight, just putting on an absolute statement and picking up that WBO strap at welterweight. And then you got Oscar Collazo. You know what I mean? This is one of the smaller guys that a lot of people aren't really knowledgeable on. And, I think he fights at 105 pounds. It's either 105 or 108. I do get those weight classes mixed up at times. But he's a unified champion, and he's a small motherfucker who has a shit ton of power. You know what I'm saying? So he's a very exciting fighter to watch. And to be honest with you, man, I'm really surprised that boxer fans don't really look at these smaller divisions because, to be honest with you, those 105, 108, 112, 115 guys, man, they fight their hearts out, man. They throw a shit ton of punches. You know what I mean? They put on some electrifying fights. And the fact that people don't really care to really tune into these guys because they're from different countries like the Philippines, Japan, Puerto Rico, things of that nature. People don't really seem to care too much about them. They care more about, divisions that's like 135 and up. And I think that's a bit disrespectful, to be honest with you, because these smaller guys put on, they sacrifice just as much as these fighters do, and they have potential to be stars in their own right. But I don't know why in the U.S. they never really paid attention to the weight classes that's like 118 and below. You see what I mean? So it is what it is. So solid pound for pound list overall from the Ring Magazine. Now, what I want to get into is what the people think in terms of Shakur Stevenson being ranked number 3 pound for pound. Do you feel like that's a great place to put him? Is it not a great place to put him? You know what I'm saying? And look, the same. We're gonna get into that conversation with Boost and Vergil, but I want to get this out of the way first. I just want to speak on what the people think in terms of you know, Shakur Stevenson's position on the rankings. I did see him do an interview, and he felt like if he beat Teofimo Lopez, he should be a top 3 uh, pound for pound fighter of the world. And he made his case as to why. I think he was putting some respect on Jesse Rodriguez's name. However, he was saying things along the lines of, like nobody knows who they fought. And to be honest with you, I'm not gonna be one of those type of people that subscribes to that narrative because if y'all don't know the guys that Jesse Rodriguez has fought, it's simply because you don't do your history, you don't do your homework on boxing. And just because just because the casual boxing fans doesn't know who these opponents are, or these guys aren't like huge stars in the boxing world, doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't solid competitors. Like we're not about to sit here and act like Carlos Quadras isn't a solid, who did some great things in his division, getting, you know, some great wins on his resume and things of that nature. We're not gonna sit here and act like Sor Rungvisai is ass. Because I remember when Sor Rungvisai had watched Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez, somebody who was, being heavily pushed by HBO, being pound for pound number one, post Floyd retirement. You know what I'm saying? His reign on the top was short like leprechauns, but Sor Rungvisai did what he needed to do in order to beat him. Are we gonna act like Sonny Edwards wasn't a skilled boxer that Jesse Rodriguez had went up against, and people were even picking Sonny Edwards to outbox Jesse Rodriguez? Are we really about to sit here and act like he's not a formidable opponent? Are we about to sit here and act like Jesse Rodriguez isn't fighting the other champions in his division and making them look subpar, just like Shakur Stevenson did with Teofimo Lopez, but somehow, some way, because Shakur beat somebody who's more popular in the boxing world, y'all equate that to Shakur Stevenson doing more than these smaller guys. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't want to say that Shakur Stevenson doesn't deserve to be number 3, but at the same time, I do think that him trying to brush off guys like Jesse Rodriguez and Dimitri Bivol, I think is very disrespectful, to be honest with you. And I've heard him say this on interviews. I never heard him say too much about Dimitri Bivol, but he's like, oh, no disrespect to Jesse Rodriguez, but but I'm like, bro, you about to really sit here and act like Jesse ain't fight nobody because you're not privy to the guys that he's fought? You know what I'm saying? You got one signature win, while Bam has several signature wins, in my opinion. But because y'all don't know who he is, all of a sudden y'all act like, it don't matter. Y'all motherfuckers just need to admit that y'all ignorant and go about y'all day as boxing fans, to be honest with you, man. Like when we looking over Jesse Rodriguez's resume, we're not about to sit here and act like Juan Francisco Estrada wasn't the great fighter that he was. You know what I'm saying? Sonny Edwards, who's a champion in his own right. Sor Rungvisai, Carlos Quadras, all of that shit, man. Like those are great wins. You feel what I'm saying? And we got to take into consideration that Bam is only 26 years old, and this man done won world titles in multiple divisions. You see what I mean? So definitely think there needs to be more respect on Jesse Rodriguez's name. That's just my opinion. So that's basically what it is, man. Let me see what the people saying in the comments right here. Shout out to my boy Slime in the building. What up? Jay said I think Shakur should be at number 7. Nah, I wouldn't do that. I would put Shakur Stevenson over Artur Beterbiev. You see what I mean? Listen, if y'all feel like he's number 3, then that's y'all prerogative. I'm not here to change y'all minds. That's what I'm not gonna do. If you feel like he deserves to be somewhere on the list, that's your opinion. This is all this is all opinionated. So my answer is not right. My answer is not wrong. Your answer may not be right. Your answer may not be wrong. So I'm not about to sit here and judge nobody like, oh man, you crazy. Oh, well, man, what the fuck? How you think he number 3? Bro, if you feel like he number 3 based off of what he's done in his career, I can't be mad at it. Like this man is a 4-division champion. That's very, very difficult to achieve. From 126 to 140, Shakur Stevenson has done some phenomenal things from an accolade standpoint. You know what I mean? But when we looking at the resume, his resume is definitely not the deepest. To be honest with you, Jesse Rodriguez has some solid wins on his resume that may add up to Shakur Stevenson's. To be honest, I just think that Jesse's really missing like that signature win by like a notable name, like a Naoya Inoue, like a Junto Nakatani. You feel what I'm saying? But it's not his fault that the guys that he's been beating haven't been known by the masses. You feel me? And when you look at guys like, let's actually take a look. Let's actually look at guys like Gallo Estrada, because a lot of people don't really know too much about him. So I'm about to just inform y'all, man. Let me see. Yeah, like this man Gallo Estrada is a two-division world champion, just like Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? He held world titles in flyweight and super flyweight, throughout his career. At flyweight, he held the WBA, and he unified the division at flyweight at that, the WBA and the WBO, and he defended them titles for 3 years. Then he moves up to 115. You know what I mean? He had the WBC and the Ring Magazine titles for 5 years. And then he also had the WBA for about a year and some change. You know what I'm saying? And this dude has an impressive victory of 45-4. You know what I'm saying? And he fought guys like Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, Sor Rungvisai, Brian Valoria. These are well-known names in the smaller divisions. All you gotta do is just do your homework. You feel what I'm saying? But okay, let me see. Let me see what the people saying. They saying Devin should be higher. Well, that's not really what we talking about. We not about to really just do like a whole. We not updating no pound for pound list today, man. Unfortunately, I ain't got the energy for that. But what I just wanted to speak on was Shakur Stevenson specifically. What I put him at number three. That's tough, man. I do feel like it's a little bit more of a debate than people are making it seem. You know what I'm saying? Just because you don't know Jesse Rodriguez's, resume or the guys that he's fought doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't belong at that number three spot. Dimitri Bivol, he became undisputed. That's something that Shakur Stevenson has yet to accomplish in his career. And to be honest with you, Dimitri Bivol has better wins on his resume than Shakur Stevenson. Who has Shakur Stevenson fought that was as great as a Canelo Alvarez and beat him? And before they be like, oh, well, Dimitri Bivol fought a small Canelo. Miss me with the bullshit, man. Canelo Alvarez was a champion at light heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? He had experience at light heavyweight prior to fighting Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol schooled him. You know what I mean? Let's look at Gilberto Ramirez. Look at how well that win has aged since then. He beat Gilberto Ramirez. Guess what? Gilberto Ramirez moved up in weight and is now a unified world champion. We're not even talking about the Artur Beterbiev win. Former unified light heavyweight champion of the world that's still on this pound for pound list today. One of the biggest punchers in the entire sport of boxing, Dimitri Bivol outclassed him twice, in my opinion, but we're going to just say once. Does Shakur really deserve to be over Artur Beterbiev? Resume-wise, no. Not at all. Accolades-wise, I mean, he's got more divisions, but Bivol has had the ultimate accomplishment in terms of becoming undisputed. So that's debatable. It depends on what you prefer as a boxer fan. Do you like when fighters move up multiple divisions, or do you like when people conquer a division? Because Shakur Stevenson has won titles in every division that he's been in. However, he hasn't completely conquered one. He unified 130, but he has yet to conquer one weight class. You see what I'm saying? So to be honest with you, I'm not put at this point in time. I'm not putting Shakur Stevenson over Dimitri Bivol. From a skill set point of view, Dimitri Bivol is skilled in his own right. His in and out movement. You know what I mean? Good footwork, combination punching, punch accuracy. He's a very, very crafty motherfucker, man. Bivol's a bad motherfucker, bro. So it's like Shakur may edge, may be better than him from a skill set standpoint, but from a resume aspect, no, absolutely not. And I think from an accolade standpoint, like I said, it depends on what you prefer. But Dimitri Bivol has accomplished something that Shakur Stevenson has yet to accomplish. So does he deserve to be over Dimitri Bivol? I don't know. I don't know. On some real shit, bro, I'll probably put Bivol over Bam. I don't know. Am I tripping? I think they put Bam a little bit too high, and this ain't no disrespect to Bam because, like I said, I was just bigging up his resume and the guys that he's fought. But to be honest with you, Bivol, I don't know. I really feel like Bivol should be over Bam. Agent says no. Why not? Let me know what y'all think. I'm tripping. Let me know if I'm tripping. Bivol beat two undisputed champions when he beat Canelo and Beterbiev. That's phenomenal take. That's factual. Duai Duai says Bivol has accomplished more and beat better names. I agree. I agree. Bivol has an underrated resume. Anonymous said, I was saying the same. People just forgot what Bivol did because he fought last year. He fought once last year. It's crazy how fast the boxing world could forget about what you've done just because you're going through a little bit of a rough patch in your career. Like injuries do happen, yo. Just because somebody doesn't fight, just because somebody has an inactive year doesn't necessarily mean that they accomplish it. Their accomplishments just wash away. Bivol too overlooked. I agree. In this situation right here, of course, I don't think anybody will overlook Bivol getting into the ring with him. They're gonna understand that he a problem. And maybe him giving away his WBC title kind of fucked with his image as well. However, I'm not gonna use that as a way to disrespect or discredit Dimitri Bivol. You know what I mean? I think Dimitri Bivol was like in a tough spot. You know what I mean? Pretty much being threatened by Turkey Al Sheikh to not take that route. So as a result, he just gave up the belt from because it just made more sense to give up the belt than burn a bridge. You say you can see Bivol being ranked higher. I think the number 3 spot is good for Bivol, to be honest with you. I probably would push Shakur over Bam. Probably. I probably would push Shakur over Bam. And it's really because um Shakur now has a signature win, like a big signature win on his resume with the Teofimo Lopez win. Bam, in my opinion, he has signature wins as well. I thought the Sonny Edwards one was a great signature win. I thought the Gallo Estrada one was, but to be honest with you, Teofimo Lopez is a bigger name than both of those guys. You feel what I mean? So I would probably put Bivol number 3, Shakur number 4, and Bam number 5. You know what I'm saying? But then again, when you look at Bam and how the way he's looking against champions is making them look, amateurish as well. It's like, God damn, like you could really make a case that Bam is number 4. You could really make a case that Bam's number 4 and Shakur is number 5. I mean, listen, me personally, I'm not mad at Shakur being number 4. I'm not mad. If you want to put him at number 5, because you respect what, Jesse Rodriguez got going on, cool. Bethaniel says, in my opinion, I'm fine with Shakur being at 3 right now. Not many 4 division champions in this many. Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to say, but I get what you're saying at the same time. Listen, if you feel like he deserves to be there, fuck it. It is what it is. But me personally, I do feel like and Dimitri Bivol hasn't moved up multiple divisions because he's literally 2 divisions away from heavyweight. You know what I mean? Like he started at 75, he's been at 75. You feel me? He even took on the challenge or attempted to take on the challenge and go into super middleweight, but Canelo Alvarez didn't want it. That would have been a situation where Bivol probably would have became two-time undisputed champion because I think he would have beat Canelo again at 68 if he made the weight healthy. Bella Face said pound for pound was originally skill based. Accolades and resumes then were added into the criteria. It's super subjective. Yeah, and I always make that point clear whenever I'm creating these pound for pound lists and the nations, getting behind and modifying the list and adding their opinions and stuff like that. It's super subjective. A pound for pound list is pretty much varies, and it varies according to who's making the list. You feel what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of these media outlets, when they make it pound for pound list, they have a certain narrative that they want to push when making those lists. You know what I'm saying? So like if HBO has a pound for pound list, most likely, a lot of the people they're going to incorporate on their pound for pound list are going to be fighters that are affiliated with HBO. Same thing with Ring Magazine. Look at their pound for pound rankings. Look at the first person they got on there with a Ring Magazine belt, Shakur Stevenson. So of course, this list is probably going to cater more or have some type of bias towards fighters who have Ring Magazine titles. But it is what it is. But let me see. Me personally, and look, the pound for pound shit was established during the era of Sugar Ray Robinson. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to put some respect on Sugar Ray Robinson's name, so they called him the pound for pound best fighter in the world. Because if you were to take Sugar Ray Robinson's abilities, his skill set, and you put them into any type of body, a heavyweight body, a cruiserweight body, a welterweight body, he will be able to reign at the top of any division just based off of how skilled that he was. You see what I'm saying? So I completely understand that, brother. But over here, when I'm creating these pound for pound lists, I do think that it takes more than just skill to be a pound for pound level fighter. You know what I'm saying? I think what part of what makes you a great pound for pound fighter is the people that you're beating. You could be skilled all you want, but if you're not facing anybody notable, how could we know how skilled you truly are? You could look good on the eye test, and you're like, oh man, this motherfucker looks like he the real deal, man. Look at this dude's skills, like he could fight. But if you're not doing that against other elite competition, how well can we really decipher how skilled you truly are? Mazuma, who would be skill for skill, pound for pound number one? That's a great question to sing. If I had to pick one out of everybody that's on this list, skill wise, it's either Shakur Stevenson or Alexander Usyk. That's what I think. I think it would be because we really got to put some respect on Usyk's name, man. Like the way that he was able to be a smaller guy, conquer the cruiserweight division against notable opponents there, or Gaziev and shit like that, then go into a division where he was heavily doubted and beat elite level guys there. It takes a very skilled individual, somebody who is a fucking beast that you know well what really impresses me with Alexander Usyk is his mental fortitude because the way that he was able to, I seen him get hurt to the body against Daniel Dubois, get up and finish the fight. I seen him in there with a 6'9" motherfucker who was attempting to make it an ugly fight and press the action, and he just stood calm, stood resilient the whole time. And the way that he's able to break these heavyweights down brick by brick, you see what I'm saying, and get these big knockouts like against Daniel Dubois twice. You know what I'm saying? Rock Anthony Joshua and outskill him, outclass him. Who's more skilled? That's tough, man. It's either Usyk or Shakur, in my opinion. Do I think skill for skill Boots is on the pound for pound list? I do think that he is skill wise. I do think that he would definitely be top 10 in the world. That's just my opinion. Um, just based off of, and it may be personal bias because I've literally seen him work like in the gyms and shit like that, and I've seen him do things that, like I'm pretty sure plenty of these fighters on this list can't do. Who more skilled in the heavyweight division? Wait, Usyk? There's been man, come on, man. We really got to look at like Lennox Lewis is a very skilled heavyweight in his own right. How about Larry Holmes? Larry Holmes probably one of the most skilled fighters ever come out of the sport of boxing, let alone heavyweight. Muhammad Ali was very skilled. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if just saying. I think Lennox Lewis is one of the most intelligent heavyweights ever. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just Lennox Lewis's size and shit like that. That wasn't really what made him great, in my opinion. It was his ability to adjust, his skill set, like his overall toolbox. You see what I mean? But some people feel like Shakur Stevenson belongs at number three, or they feel okay with him being there number three. Me personally, I wouldn't put him over Dimitri Bivol, and maybe a bit more debatable how if you want to flip him and Bam. You feel what I mean? But it is what it is. Do I say, yeah, you're right. Lennox Lewis is very skilled. I shouldn't talk about the heavyweight division. I'm not too educated on it. That's all right, bro. Just continue doing research and keep growing as a student of the game, man. If you're truly invested in the sport of boxing, go look at these things, man. You'll be surprised on what you'll come across and how impressive these older fighters were back in the day, man. They done some great shit. Henry Armstrong, you know what I'm saying? Joe Lewis, as long as he was able to reign in the heavyweight division. Take a look at Larry Holmes, man. How many title defenses did Larry Holmes have? You know what I'm saying? Like they did some great shit, man. Look at Lennox Lewis' resume. Look at the guys that he's beat. He's got one of the best resumes in boxing. Yeah, they said Larry Holmes had 19 title defenses. Come on, man. That's a GOAT activity, bro. GOAT activity. He might have had more than that. He defended it 20 times. A record second only to Joe Lewis. Come on, man. 20 successful title defenses. Shout out to Larry Holmes, bro. GOAT. Absolute fucking GOAT. I gotta give Larry Holmes the applause for that, man. Hold on. I gotta give you no applause for that. Ain't no way. You goated, brother. You've done some great shit in the sport of boxing. Very, truly underappreciated GOAT. Absolutely. Shout out to the boy Larry Holmes, the Eastern Assassin. You feel what I mean? Gotta give him credit for that. Barbados, Joe Walcott was like 5'4" and will fight heavyweights. Negro is different. Hey, man. Keep doing y'all homework on these guys, man. 20 title defenses is insane. Yeah. And it wasn't in no shitty era neither. Don't get it fucked up. Like Larry Holmes really fought real dogs, especially in his later years, and will give motherfuckers a run for their money. So, you know what I mean? Take a look at Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes is 69-6. Only been stopped one time by prime Mike Tyson. You feel what I'm saying? Oliver McCall. You know what I'm saying? Evander Holyfield. Ray Mercer. Of course, Mike Tyson. Michael Spinks. Twice. James the Bone Crusher Smith. Marvis Frazier. Joe Frazier's son. Tim Witherspoon. Shout out to Tim Witherspoon. Jerry Cooney. Y'all already know who Jerry Cooney was. He was like the great white hype. Leon Spinks, Trevor Berbick, Muhammad Ali, Ernie Shavers. Motherfucker almost got knocked out by Ernie Shavers, though. Ken Norton. Ernie Shavers again. Let me see. Oh, you gotta put some respect on that man's name, bro. He did not fight. He did not fight in no weak era. They cannot say that about Larry Holmes. Shout out to Larry, man. Shout out to my PA brother. Duaz says, I got a question. Do you think Tank is as good as people say? I think he's overrated, to be honest. I mean, look, man, I don't really care to talk about Tank right now. He got a lot of shit going on that ain't got nothing to do with boxing. But what I will say is that Gervonta Davis is one of the most he definitely one of the most hyped up fighters that have done absolutely close to nothing in the sport of boxing in terms of beating elite level opposition. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say that he's overrated, but he definitely underachieved thus far in his career. You know what I'm saying? He's avoided top competition in every weight class that he's been in. He's never definitively proved that he was the best in any weight class that he's ever competed in, whether it was 130, 135, or 140. You know what I'm saying? So, Am I gonna say he's overrated? I mean, we might as well call him overrated because y'all go out of y'all way to call Jaron Ennis overrated. Oh, he isn't for the top name, man. They keep talking about he's overrated. All right, so based off of y'all logic, Gervonta Davis overrated. Because what elite level guy has he beat? We still bragging about Jose Pedraza. That shit was what 2017? That shit's about to be 10 years ago. Fuck out of here. Marissa says Larry Holmes is my next purchase book after I finish Muhammad Ali's book. Larry Holmes had a great interview with Vlad TV. So if y'all ain't see that, go check it out. I watched that one a few times. Shout out to Larry Holmes. The casuals love him. Yeah, bro. I get a lot of hate on my channel all the time. I actually had a channel. Yo, Agent 86, if you still in the building, bro, who was that channel? Who was that channel that was talking about me, man? Because we might have to do a little bit of addressing around this motherfucker. Some nigga by the name of Three Heads. And I think he used to be in my chat before. So for him to, I don't know if he said anything negative about me. But the fact that he even brought me up saying something about me, Mazuma, he's a Puerto Rican from Philly. And I don't know exactly what he said. I think he felt the way, or he had commented. He had said that I said that I'll pick Boots over Xander, or whatever the case is, which is very much true. I don't even know why you went out of your way to speak about that on another man's channel, yet you don't even speak over here. So that just lets you know that motherfuckers be watching my channel, but don't be showing no love to the channel. You feel me? Like niggas be really tapped in, seeing what I gotta say, then they go run over to talk about me somewhere else. It's really weirdo shit, to be honest with you. Cause you don't ever speak over here, but you take something that I say, and you be like, oh shit, man, you heard Mazuma said this over here. Bro, stop it, bro. Stop it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't even a big channel. Why is y'all niggas so worried about what I gotta say? And why y'all feel like going over there? He said the channel owner wasn't talking bad about you. They was talking about something else. So what was they saying now? Why was I brought up? What did the dude said that I said? All right, let me see. Let me see. Oh, shit. He ain't write it. But all right. But anyways, it is what it is. Shout out to everybody that's in the building, man. We're gonna transition on to the next topic. We just gonna speak about this briefly because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We spoke about this so much that at this point I just need the fight to be made. So for those of y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, man, shout out to Inside Ring Show. You know what I mean? The show that Max Kellerman and Mike Coppinger and Shady McCoy and all them dudes be on. And according to Mike Coppinger, Jaron Boots Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz is being targeted for April in Las Vegas and could be finalized this week. Mike Coppinger has revealed on Inside the Ring. So this is a fight that we've been this was a highly requested bout between both individuals. You talk about Jaron Ennis, who just got one fight at 154 pounds, beating Luis Malima in one round. Then we got Vergil Ortiz, who's been around 154 for a little while now, picking up some big wins against, Israel Madrimov, Serhii Boachuk, and most recently Erickson Lubin. So even though, Vergil Ortiz doesn't have a world title at this point in time for the amount of fights that he's had in the division, he is highly regarded as one of the top junior middleweight fighters in the division. So this is a fight that has been requested by boxing fans since both of these guys were at 147 pounds. Vergil was no longer able to make the weight considering the health issues that he's come across. And, when Boots was no longer able to unify his division, or he wasn't able to become undisputed in his division, he felt like it was best for him to move up. He did feel like he was outgrowing the division and that he didn't want to continue staying at a weight where it could be detrimental to him in his career. So, they're both in the division right now. Boots is optimistic about making the fight happen. I feel like Vergil was kind of like half stepping with the fight. Like he didn't mind the fight, but at the same time, there was other options that he was looking at. Speaking about fighting Errol Spence Jr. when nobody wants that fight right now, to be honest with you, man. Nobody wanted to see that fight that is only big in Texas. We looking to make fights that are actually big throughout the boxing world. So I'm glad that these guys are in deep negotiations. Maybe Boots being optimistic about the fight being made was because he was getting he was getting word that things were on the up. You know what I mean? I didn't really get no word on it, so I thought that Boots was being a little bit too optimistic. But maybe the fight gets done this week, and we could actually have some breakdowns on the fights and speak on who we believe uh, is going to win the fight. It's a huge fight for the sport of boxing. These type of fights help push the boxing culture forward. You see what I mean? And I really hope that we get this fight, man. I hope they're able to sit down and come up to some type of agreement. Maybe Oscar De La Hoya being sued by Vergil Ortiz or whatever kind of woke him up and made him realize that Virgil is not tolerating the nonsense. He's not going for the goofy shit that they got going on over there. So maybe Virgil taking Oscar to court probably propelled him to make this big fight happen. So he could pretty much convince Virgil to stick around with Golden Boy. You feel what I'm saying? A Singh says, "Do I have Boots KO and Virgil?" I do. I personally believe that he does. I don't really see what Vergil Ortiz does at Jaron Ennis that and I'm not saying that he doesn't have a chance of winning. Of course he does. Virgil is a skilled fighter in his own right, very dangerous, good hand speed, good power, good pressure, determination, great conditioning as well. So Boots is definitely gonna have to get in some great shape, be responsible defensively, and pick his shots. Pick his shots and attempt to break Virgil down. But one thing about Virgil is he does seem to be, seems to get overly aggressive at times. I feel like he does have the ability to box, but for some reason he seems to lack focus in the boxing department. I think he gets pretty bored with that, and he finds more pleasure in punishing his opponents and hurting his opponents. I feel like he's gonna attempt to try to prove that to Jaron Ennis that he could walk him down and beat him up. And I think in the process, Boost is gonna be lighting him up with combinations. Going around his high guard, placing some good body shots. You know what I mean? I could also see him having an effective jab against Vergil Ortiz, and I just see Jaron Ennis being laser like with with his punches, and I see him breaking Virgil down. Man, I just don't see what Virgil does defensively to let me know that he's going to evade a lot of Jaron Ennis's offense. I just don't see it happening. I see Boots being a lot faster. A lot faster than Virgil in terms of hand speed. I see him being more elusive than Virgil. I see him having a better jab than Virgil, even though Boots doesn't use it as often as I would like for him to use it. I think whenever he does, it's an elite, world-class jab. You feel what I'm saying? I could see Boots really doing some damage to Virgil as he tries to, catch a lot of the shots on the high guard. I never really seen no crazy upper body movement for Virgil to let me know that he's going to be slipping, Jaron Ennis's punches completely. I just don't see it. You see what I'm saying? So, and everybody keeps pushing this narrative that Virgil's such a big puncher and he can knock Boots out. Is that possible? Yes. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing. But what a lot of people aren't taking into consideration is that Boots is a big puncher, a fast puncher, and a great finisher in his own right. So everybody keep pushing, oh, what Virgil gonna do, what Virgil gonna do. How about what Boots is gonna do? He became a unified champion by stoppage, breaking down standing units, somebody that Virgil was never able to get around to fight. You see what I mean? So I do think that people are underestimating Jaron Ennis's power going into this fight. I do think that people just assume that Virgil's gonna be the aggressor and be the one to be walking down Boots. But the thing is, when you're walking into the fire with Boots, man, you're putting yourself uh, in a high. How can I say this? You're putting yourself in a dangerous predicament. That's what I'm saying. Miguel Loreano says they both punches. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't know what it is, man. It's like whenever it's like a Mexican versus like a black fighter, they always try to classify like the Mexican as being like the tougher fighter, you know what I'm saying? Being the bigger puncher, being more aggressive. And I'm like, yo, Boots has all of those qualities that Vergil Ortiz has too. You see what I mean? But nonetheless, man, regardless of what you think about how the way the fight is gonna go and who you picking as the winner, whether it's Vergil, whether it's Boots, it's a great fucking fight for the sport of boxing. And that's all I really care about, to be honest with you. And let's say, hypothetically speaking, that Vergil beats Jaron Ennis. You gotta give Vergil all the credit in the world. To beat somebody as talented as Jaron Ennis, you gotta be a bad motherfucker for that, man. You gotta be a bad motherfucker for that. Like, not just anybody beating Boots. So if you beat somebody on the level of a Boots who, you know, as well versed as he is, as talented as he is, as dangerous as he is, that's going to take Vergil Ortiz to superstardom to the next level. And you're going to have to put him in a world title fight if you beat somebody like Boots. But if Boots beats Vergil, now all of this criticism about Boots not wanting to fight the best and not having no top tier names on his resume, all of that gets put to rest. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have to put him in a world title shot for eventually, because if you had the WBA interim and then you grab Vergil Ortiz's WBC interim title, you're going to be literally a mandatory or be the top contender for both of those sanctioning bodies simultaneously. And either the WBA champion is going to have to see you, Xander Zayas, or the WBC champion is going to have to see you, Sebastian Fundora. And maybe, just maybe, the WBC will put their fucking foot down and be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoever wins between Vergil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis is going to be the mandatory challenger for the winner of Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman. Boom. Simple and plain. We got big fights rolling in the 154-pound division. Absolutely. Would love to see that. That gets me excited just thinking about it. Pause. I do think Ortiz's defense is better than what most people think. Listen, I'm not saying that his defense is trash or that he's a crash dummy or anything like that. But when we see what he gravitates towards defensively, Jaron Ennis has always had a lot of success with picking that defense apart. When you're looking at Vergil Ortiz's defense, he likes to, come forward with, a high guard. You know what I mean? And with Boots being, the heavy-handed combination puncher, and not only is he heavy-handed and fast combination puncher, he's also a precise puncher. So he also knows where to place the punches, how to get around the high guard. Like, Boots is a fucking beast at that. He could pick apart whatever defense you're doing. And typically when you're walking in with the high guard, you're leaving stabs to the body open. And I don't think you want to take too many of those from somebody like Boots, who's an accurate fucking puncher. You feel what I'm saying? Too many stabs to the body could really break you down and open you up for the headshots. You know what I mean? Yeah, Jay. Boots stopped Lima in one round. I just don't see how Vergil adjusts defensively to Boots. I don't know how he adapts to Boots' speed, his quickness, his athleticism. You know what I'm saying? His punch placement. I just don't see how Vergil, unless Vergil just has something that we don't know about. He has something in the tuck, something in the toolbox that he's never brought out before that he's fully capable of using. I just don't see what he does. You know what I'm saying? Boots is a special talent, bro. And if Vergil beats Boots, ain't nobody at 154 that I'm picking against him. Like, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So that's just me. My boy Ralph in the building said, you already know Sebastian gonna try to duck that. Whoever wins out of Boots and Vergil, he ain't gonna want to fight them. Yeah, I mean, based off of what he has been doing, you know what I mean? Like, he avoided Terrence Crawford, he avoided Xander Zayas. You know what I mean? Like, he gave up a belt not to fight Xander and fight Tim Tszyu instead. It was like, really? Like, what the fuck? You decided to drop, downgrade from being a unified champ just so you won't fight a younger guy? And the only way you're going to give that younger guy an opportunity was if you put a rehydration clause on him? Disgusting work. Absolutely disgusting work. You're 6'5" and you're bitching about somebody being heavier than you. Or at least somebody on your team, but your team represents you at the end of the day. So I have to address you regardless. So yeah, man. Sebastian Fundora does have a tendency to duck. or at least his team does. But since he's going with what his team is doing, he's a duck, right along with them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what Sebastian Fundora plans on doing. The fact that you gave Keith Thurman an opportunity when he don't fucking deserve no WBC title shot, not at 154, it's disgusting, to be honest with you. Like the fact that, Keith Thurman is getting the opportunity before Vergil Ortiz, insane. Justin thinks the fight will go to 12. Really? Somebody gonna be really beat up by the 12th round. If Vergil or Boots goes to 12, somebody's gonna be really beat up after 12 rounds. Sebastian is one of the most protected dudes in boxing right now. Definitely up there. Nick Ball was one of them too, but goddamn, that boy Figueroa put a beating on that man. Got him up out of there. Nick Ball was definitely heavily protected. Hell yeah. There's a few motherfuckers in boxing that's protected for sure. You know what I'm saying? Canelo, heavily protected. Floyd Schofield, heavily protected. Like he be on turkey time. Gervonta Davis, heavily protected. I ain't gonna lie. They be moving real scary with Barrios. I ain't gonna lie to you. He was talking like he wanted to fight Jaron Ennis. Then when Jaron Ennis tried to sit down with them, they went and they fought Pacquiao for sure. Disgusting work. When I get off of this, John, in a few minutes, I'm gonna go watch that Figueroa and Ball fight. I need to go laugh. I need to go watch that so I can laugh. Vergil gonna be looking like Ugas after 12. Damn, Junior. That's crazy. Hitchens is a duck. I don't even think he protected for real. I think he just a duck. I don't think he really believe in himself how he claimed he do. You know what I mean? I really don't. Like, and I seen him talk about he won unification fights at 40. No, you don't, bro. No, you don't. Call you saying that right now? Go call out Gary Antoine after his fight with Andy Hiroka. If he beats Andy Hiroka, call him out. Call him out. Say you want to fight for the IBF and the WBA. You should be looking to do unification bouts because I heard you bitching about the rehydration clause with the IBF a few years ago. And I'm only assuming you've gotten bigger since then, so it's probably harder for you to make the weight at 140 now. How about you go ahead and you unify so you ain't got to worry about a rehydration clause? You can put on as much weight as you want, sir. Gary Antoine Russell literally 4-0 against you in the amateurs. You don't want to see him. Then you got Shakur Stevenson. I don't know what type of time you be on with Shakur. One day you his friend, the other day you say you'll fight him. You can't beat no Shakur Stevenson. You really don't want that work for real. Like I don't know, bro. Like I'm not really sold on Hitchens. I'm not. Like you beat guys stylistically that was tailor made for you, like Liam Paro, motherfucker that like to box and set up his punches, and like you was gonna beat him all day. Like we knew that. Kambosos, come on, dog. Motherfucker ain't been right since he lost to Devin Haney. Wasn't he saying he trying to? Didn't he say a minute ago he finna go up to fight Lewis Crocker? He said that because everybody want to fight Lewis Crocker because everybody know that he easy work, right? Especially amongst the elite guys. I seen Keyshawn was talking about fighting Lewis Crocker. It's a few people. But I don't know. They said Adam Azim is super protected. Didn't he just fight Kurt Scooby not too long ago and whoop Kurt? Adam Azim, they was talking about him and Dalton Smith being like rivals and shit like that. Damn, they ain't fucking with Adam Azim. That's crazy. Well, we didn't think Parvo was going to beat Matias. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's definitely a fact. Looking forward to the February 21st card. Yeah, he TKO 12 rounds. Scooby Dooby. That's hilarious. Scooby Dooby is funny. Shiraz been on the protection program, done robbed the diamonds. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I think that's what kind of threw me off about Hamza. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that Turkey just be pushing him so hard. It's like bro, y'all really want Shiraz to be like this champion so bad. But what don't help the case is the fact that Diego Pacheco had pulled out from that, that world title fight with Hamza. That shit definitely don't help. So that sucks. I wonder what Diego Pacheco is looking to do. Was he not satisfied? I mean, he had a tough opponent his last fight. He got dropped and everything, but he was able to weather the storm and get the victory. But maybe off of that performance, he feels like he doesn't feel fully ready for a world title opportunity. I don't know. Josue Fernandez in the building. He said, is Boots versus Vergil fight actually going to happen? I've been out the loop with boxing a little, but I really want to see that fight. Well, it's a rumor going around, brother. So they're saying that they're, looking to finalize a deal in April in Las Vegas between them two. You know what I'm saying? And they could finalize a deal sometime this week. I didn't really want to dwell too much on that topic because, like I said, we done spoke hours upon hours upon hours of this Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz situation. So I'm going to just let these guys do what they need to do behind the scenes and get the fight done so we could just be excited as boxing fans to experience that and, break down footage, come up with predictions, and give live fight commentaries, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking forward to doing for real, for real. And speaking of, rumors. Speaking of rumors, man, shout out to Errol Spence Jr. I seen Errol Spence in Philadelphia training with Breadman. Let me find out, and this ain't the first time Errol Spence has been over here training with Breadman, man. Let me find out Errol Spence about to be doing training camps in Philly. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go meet the man. I always wanted to meet Errol Spence. Always wanted to meet Errol Spence. Considering the fact that I'm cool with Breadman, I would love to go over to Schuler's and meet Errol. No doubt in my mind. I would love to help him with sparring. I ain't gonna lie. I would love to help him with sparring. We said JYD and Spence was talking. Yeah, they all, JYD trains with Breadman out in West Philly at James Schuler's Memorial Boxing Gym. Yes, sir. That gym also had Stephen Fulton. That gym also had, Julian Williams, aka J Rock. Had a lot of quality guys. They got this one kid named Rasheem Brown, man. I wish he has all the potential to be a world champion, man. I don't know what they're doing with that kid, but Schuler's got they got some heavy hitters over there. That's for sure. At one point in time, they were snapping, bro. Yeah, multiple champions in they gym at the same time. So there's that. But speaking of Errol Spence Jr., man, according to Inside the Ring, yet again with Mike Coppinger, he's saying that Errol Spence Jr. will return to the ring versus Tim Tszyu this summer. Spence hasn't fought since his July 2023 loss to Terrence Crawford. Tszyu will first take a tune-up fight in Australia prior to their bout. Coppinger has revealed on Inside the Ring. Now, one thing about Tim Tszyu is that motherfucker going to take a tune-up out in Australia. You better believe that shit. He's a big believer in staying active so he can be ready for these big fights. Could this help him with Errol Spence? Yes. But can it also hurt Tim Tszyu going into this, fight? Yes. And I'm going to tell y'all why. I'm going to tell you the good reason why. Because he'll have an advantage over Errol Spence in a way where, especially if he comes out of the fight clean, no damage, no punishment taken whatsoever, he'll be warmed up and be ready to fight and won't have to worry about no possible ring rust. The bad is there's a possibility, especially considering the fact that Tim Tszyu lost his last fight, basically quit against, Sebastian Fundora. His confidence may be broken. Psychologically, he may not be all there, and he may lose as a result of that. Not only that, he could be cut, he could be injured, and that may fuck up the possibility of him and Errol Spence fighting. You know what I'm saying? So that may hurt him. And, let's say it's a fight that he wins, but he takes damage. He may be in a situation where, he's still, recovering from the damages sustained in that fight. He may pick up more damage during the training camp and sparring sessions, and he may ultimately be food for somebody like Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? Marissa says, I was also wondering Roy Jones Jr. training Errol Spence. Well, to be clear, I haven't heard Errol Spence officially announce who's going to train him yet. I just know it's not Derrick James, unfortunately. But I have seen him in Philadelphia several times with Breadman, you know what I mean, training. I don't know if they got some type of agreement going on. I don't know if it's official. I don't know if he's observing, scouting. I don't know exactly what he's doing. But what I will say is that Roy Jones has been somebody that's been supportive of Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? Roy Jones has opened a gym I believe in Dallas. So Errol Spence was coming by to support because him and Roy Jones got a pretty solid relationship. I've always heard Roy Jones speak positively on Errol Spence, say Errol Spence still got it. You know what I mean? He's like pretty much looking forward to his return. Singh says Errol need to go to Bozy. Well, I'm going to say no. And the reason why I say no is because Bozy's style isn't really for somebody like Errol Spence. Like, Bozy is for people who have, based off of the people that have succeeded with Bozy, it's always been like athletic guys, fast combination punchers, guys who like to create angles. And I'm not saying that Errol Spence is incapable of doing any of those things. But Errol Spence is somebody who is like he's a stepper. You know what I'm saying? He like to walk to you. You know what I mean? And he's fundamentally sound. He does everything off of the jab. You know what I mean? He goes to the body. This is a textbook type of fighter. So when I think about people who are actually textbook, to be honest with you, I think Robert Garcia will be a quality trainer for somebody like Errol Spence. You know what I mean? Breadman, he will be a solid choice for Errol Spence because Breadman is big on the basics too. You know what I mean? And, getting the technique right on punches and, just being precise. You know what I mean? Doing things right. I think Breadman will be a good fit for Errol. Errol Spence needs somebody to, keep in check who he already is. So if you got somebody like, I remember like Vergil Hunter in his earlier days when he was training prime Andre Ward, I think he would have been a great choice for somebody like Errol Spence because he would have kept him on check in terms of, keeping the main thing. You're a fundamentally based fighter. Let's continue sharpening up your fundamentals and making sure you're on point, ready to go for your next fight. So I don't think Bozy will really be a good fit for him. Yeah, Bozy not for everybody, but no trainers for everybody. I'm a trainer. I know I'm not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm somebody who is defensively responsible. You know what I mean? Really uses the jab. I would say like I'm a well-rounded coach. You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm somebody that likes to work on a little bit of everything. Different. What I do is I let my fighters develop their own identity as fighters and stuff like that. I'll teach them several aspects of each department, whichever one they seem to gravitate towards. That's what they add. That's what helps develop their identity. So, for instance, I'm gonna show them different types of defense, right? So let's say I'm gonna teach them how to catch with the high guard. I'm gonna teach them how to use their upper body movement to make them, completely make the opponent miss. I'm gonna show them how to use side to side, lateral movement. I'm gonna show them all of that. Now, fighter A may not be good at slipping punches, but he may be very good at, catching punches on the high guard. Fighter B may not be good at catching shots on the high guard, but he may have really good timing and head movement, right? Fighter C may not be good at the head movement. He may not be good at the catching punches, but he has really good legs. You see what I'm saying? Like none of my fighters fight alike. what I do is I take the time to understand who they are as fighters and just build on what's already in their DNA. Of course, add the basics, you know what I mean? Being responsible, keeping your hands up, you know what I mean? Catching shots, slipping shots, getting that half step back to make your opponents reach, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm a well-rounded coach, but all of my fighters have their unique styles and personalities. So there's that. Junior says Tim, big lack of defense will put him in great trouble if Errol could come back at 70% of himself. Yeah, one thing Tim Tszyu is definitely going to do is he's going to try to put that pressure on Errol. That's going to call for a great fight, especially if Errol is anything like himself. You know what I'm saying? Because Errol definitely ain't going back down. He a dog. He's going to want to prove to Tim Tszyu that he ain't going nowhere. And Tim Tszyu going to be looking to show that, yeah, I'm coming off of a loss or whatever the case is. He's taking a tune-up supposedly, but yeah, I might have had a bad performance previously, but I'm back and I'm about to show y'all that I'm capable of reigning at the top of the division again. So they both going to be looking to prove, some sort of point. And, the best man definitely going to win that night. I'm gonna definitely be rooting for Errol Spence. I would love to see him come back and silence the doubters that was claiming that he was retired. And, I've even been critical of him and said that I feel like his best days are behind him. I think that he was a damaged fighter and things like that. But if he's able to look phenomenal in this fight, pack up Tim Tszyu, beat Tim Tszyu, whatever, then, we gotta I gotta apologize for that because clearly I would, that statement would have aged terribly. And no, he'll prove me wrong. Rasheem Brown is supposed to fight March 3rd. That's what's up. Yo, I remember a few years ago, right? Rasheem Brown, I always remember this shit. It was Valentine's Day, and I think he had fought. And this was like Valentine's Day of like 2019, something like that. And we were staying at this hotel downtown. Me and the girl that I was with at the time, we was staying at a hotel downtown. Remember, we was up like 3, 4 in the morning. I was like, damn, I'm hungry as shit. I'm about to go grab some snacks real quick. So we went down to the first floor. We went down to the first floor lobby to grab some snacks out the vending machine. And when I went to go to the vending machine to go grab some snacks and shit, that nigga Rasheem was down there at the vending machines with me just picking out shit. We were just talking, laughing and shit like that. I haven't talked to him in a while. He probably don't even remember me. But yeah. You said Spence will knock Tim out. Listen, man, Tim gonna be looking at, he gonna push that envelope early to see if Errol Spence, got some ring rust. Errol Spence ain't boxing in a while. He probably gonna be looking to catch Errol cold with a big shot. You know what I'm saying? If I'm Tim Tszyu, I'm definitely pressing the action with Errol. We about to see if you rusty or not. We gonna see if you can still take a punch or not. We about to see if you still Errol or you shot. We gonna find out. We definitely gonna find out. But the big question is how much of Errol Spence is going to be going into that fight with Tim Tszyu? What percentage is his battery on? You know what I'm saying? If he's still like at a good 60, 70%, all right, we can get some, solid fights out of Errol. But, if Errol like on battery saving mode and he like on 9%, whatever the case is, this could be a really bad fight going up against a big puncher. Well, now I'm not gonna say a big puncher, but a puncher like Tim Tszyu who, takes pride in being aggressive. Jason, I think that's a perfect comeback fight for Errol. Yeah, because he's a former world champion. And, he's coming off of a pretty bad loss, to be honest with you. So, for Errol to come back off of that multi-year layoff to face Tim Tszyu, it's not the worst option in the world. But any last questions before we get up out of here, y'all? Let me know. I'm tired as a motherfucker, man. But I got the day off tomorrow, so I'm going to be resting. All that good stuff, you feel what I'm saying? I like that the people in the chat backing that boy Errol Spence, man. I miss Errol Spence. I ain't going to lie. Boxing was definitely lit when Errol Spence was around, man, when he was fighting I love this come up, bro. Like when he beat up on Chris Van Heerden, Phil Greco, Leonard Bundu. Then he went over to the UK and he beat up Kell Brook. Man, I was celebrating so hard, bro. Then he came back and he fought Ocampo, stopped him in one round, beat up on Lamont Peterson. Then he started getting into these big fights. Like he went and he beat up on Sean Porter. I'm not gonna say beat up on Sean Porter, but he had a dog fight with Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? Fought Danny Garcia after the tune-up. I mean, after the car accident, beat up on you, Dennis Ugas. And man, that fucking, that fight with Terrence Crawford changed everything. So Justin, somebody that I know personally, reached out to me and was like, "Yo, man, I subscribed to MAZUMA TV a few weeks ago, but when I was looking, pretty much like when I was looking for your channel, or when I was looking to see where your channel was, I couldn't find it, and they replaced your subscription with the Ring Magazine subscription." He said he never subscribed to Ring Magazine because he's not a boxer fan. He don't even know what the Ring Magazine is for real. But he was like, I was so confused because I was looking for your content, but I kept finding other people's content. And I was unsubscribed on your channel when I know for a fact I didn't unsubscribe. Now, I've had plenty of people tell me that they were subscribed at one point in time, but when they had looked back, they were no longer subbed and shit like that. I even had a homie like, "Yo, bro, you blocked my channel." I said, "Nigga, no, what the fuck? Why would I do that?" "Oh, I was subbed to your channel, and now it's saying that I ain't." So I don't know what YouTube got going on. They purposely unsubscribing people from channels that they don't really fuck with or anything like that, or don't have any type of like major numbers going on in their channel. I don't know what YouTube be doing, but I've heard this so many times at this point that it's like they're doing this like intentionally. Oh shit. Damn, Jay, why you say that? Trick said if Spence wins, do you think PBC would try to make Spence versus Fundora? Absolutely. Absolutely, man. One thing about PBC, they like to keep their shit in-house just like any other promoter would. And they ain't got to share no money that's in the pot, then so be it. I could definitely see it because that was the fight they were trying to make in the first place. That's the fight they were trying to make in the first place. But is Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence going to be at 154 or 160? That's what got to be spoken about. Is this gonna be at 54 or is this gonna be at 60? Because I remember Errol Spence saying that he would come back to either one of those weight classes. I think Errol should skip 154 altogether. That's just me. You've been out the ring so long, you know what I'm saying? And and Errol looks like he's on weight. But I think he should try 160. I think he should be at 160 because his body hasn't cut weight in a long time. You know what I'm saying? Just skip 54, man. Keep that healthy weight on you. Don't try to worry about cutting weight. Your body already took a lot of damage as it is. Don't put it through any more trauma, brother. Just fight at whatever you're comfortable at this point. Not 68. Let's not get ridiculous now, but Errol Spence, he definitely got the frame to be in multiple divisions, to be honest with you. Errol's not a small dude. Tim, then Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos will be a tough style for Errol Spence to take at this current moment. But we gotta see if he performs well against Tim Tszyu, especially if he does it well, he gets a stoppage, whatever. Maybe him versus Jesus Ramos won't be a bad idea. They've been cutting too much weight at 47 just to go to 160. I think that Errol Spence stood at 47 so long that I think even an additional 7 pounds wouldn't make much of a difference for him. You know what I'm saying? Like you done been cutting down to this weight and it's done so much damage to your body that it's good. By the time you get to 54, you're gonna be ready to get into 60. It's like you delaying your body's natural process of growth. You know what I mean? But all right, y'all. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and show love as always. Y'all can go ahead and hit the like button on the way out. That'll be very much appreciated. I'm gonna go catch up on some Z's, and I'll be back at y'all with another live tomorrow night. But until then, hope you guys hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Let's get the algorithm on the up so the people know that MAZUMA TV is live. Until then, I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.